Promises of Freedom, my daughters and I came and viewed this collection, and I was able to see in this artwork so much artistically relative to what we experience with our own culture musically. So tonight we'd like to try to take you on a journey in understanding the African American culture, not all of the African American music, but it's going to be from the standpoint of the African American spiritual. And the African American spiritual is considered by many anthropologists as the first true American folk song, because it was not birthed in Ireland or in London. It was birthed right here in America, from this people that was birthed right here. This people that was brought from Africa as slaves or indentured servants originally, but eventually from 1619 to 1865 as slaves. And then as generations went along, they gave birth and became the people of the African American culture. So tonight we're going to share a little bit with you about the culture through the slides, and then in the songs we'd like to tell you how the African American spiritual and gospel music are really the two musics that have brought the African American culture together, and then branching out of that have brought together other cultures that we can move forward towards this promise of freedom. If you haven't seen the exhibit, I would encourage you to see it, because what I believe these artists were trying to do is reach back to the past to express in contemporary terms what the African American culture experienced, not to divide cultures, but to bring us together so that we understand one another. And hopefully I will venture off and share with you a little bit about the African American culture that might explain why we do some of the things the way that we do. So without further ado, we'd like to share with you a little bit about the African American spiritual and gospel music and their role in the development of the African American culture. Steal away, steal away, steal away to Jesus. Steal away, steal away home. I ain't got long to stay. My Lord, He calls me by the thunder. A trumpet sounds within my soul. I ain't got long to stay here. This song, Steal Away, is one of the favorites within the African American community because it was one of those songs that the slaves used to share information within the community that was only for the community. And that was one of the important things about the African American spiritual, in that it is the only song known by anthropologists that actually brought a community together. Now, because the African American slave was not allowed to have his or her feelings, did not have a right to his or her own body, was the property of the massa, and was considered no more human than cattle, rather animals, the slave owner, in order to keep possession and keep the slave in place, determined there was only two things that they really wanted the slave to do besides work. That was to bear children and be obedient. And the way that they knew that they could get the slave to be obedient was through religion. And so their desire was for all the slaves to become Christianized and to express nothing but appreciation for the slave system. And so this slave, which was not supposed to have the intellect of the slave master, came up with a means of communication that made the slave master believe he or she was happy with the slave system and for sure had become a Christian. And this means of communication was the African American spiritual. And to date, it is the only You see, that one was for my uncle who just died last night. That's what the song did for you. Just in that moment, he came to mind. And the song and the moan let you say what you have no words to say. And that's why music is so much a part of the African American community. But that's also what I saw when I went to view this collection. Artists trying to put on paper what they had a gift to put down. So when you see the slave in their artwork, when you see Martin Luther King, there's a song, "We Shall Overcome," that comes to my mind. And when I see a slave up against that first wall, when I see those trying to make their way to freedom, for me, what I hear is a song. Because that was the only means that they had to share the story and to tell it. Thank you all so much.